A side, B side, what side are you on?
Welcome back. I don't know why I decided. I was like trying to debate whether I wanted to be like welcome back, and then I started singing, and it just became this like mashup of whatever I just did.
It was like a remix to the old Welcome Back Cotter opening. Welcome back to the same old place.
So it's been like a week. Well, you know, it's 2 weeks because we took last week off. So, hello, Adam.
Hello, Brooke. How are you?
I am doing well. So, it has been about 4 different seasons here in Lincoln in the last 2 weeks.
Well, that's exciting.
Got down to like below freezing. Then today, the last couple of days, it's been like 70s. And today is, like we're in December and it's 70. So I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm not going to complain because everybody talks about how cold it is. So I'm just going to sit here and soak up this warmth.
Yeah, it's been a crazy, weird, warm fall / early winter in the Midwest. I mean, I saw something pop up in my memories on either my phone or one of the social medias, and it was like a dog walk last year, and it was like everything was covered in snow. And so we haven't really had a snowfall up here, which has been weird, and it's been like up in the 50s and stuff this week, which is very strange. So It does not feel like December at all.
But like I said, I will take it, give the warm weather as long as we can, and because I'm not looking forward to these freezing temperatures that I keep hearing about.
Yeah, it'll get cold, but who knows? Maybe this global warming thing is going to stick around.
I mean, like, I don't want it to, but at the same time, I'm like, but it's so warm.
Yeah. Like, this is a convenient truth.
Oh, okay. So the last time we talked, you did the Harry Potter thing.
Yes.
And you had asked me if I had ever done the sorting for of my
house. Yeah, to do the Wizarding World.
And so I did do it, and I found out that I am Ravenclaw, which surprised me because I figured I'd be what is it? It's Ravenclaw, Slytherin,
Hufflepuff, and Gryffindor.
I figured for some reason I'd be a Gryffindor. I don't know why.
Everybody thinks they're going to be Gryffindor.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, everybody thinks they're going to be Gryffindor, and then like the people that want to be counter alternative say they want to be Slytherin. I am a Ravenclaw as well, and I thought you would either be a Ravenclaw or a Hufflepuff. So I'm welcome to the House of Ravenclaw. It's much better.
You guessed it right then.
I did. Well, I went back and forth. I think when we were talking last week, I thought it might be Hufflepuff because you're just a really nice person.
Are Ravenclaws not nice people?
No, they're nice. They're nice too. But I mean, Hufflepuff are like known as like the nicest, like plant-loving people. And,
okay.
Yeah.
So
Cedric Diggory was a Ravenclaw, so.
That over my head because
Robert Pattinson, his first major role.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that because I am not feeling like the nicest person today because I was on my way taking my dog Coco to the vet, and there was a gentleman on the side of the road who obviously had a vision impairment, and I tried to stop to get out at a light to help him because he was trying to cross the street. He was trying to go from the right side all the way to the left. And I tried to stop, but then I was like, oh wait, but I've got my dog in the truck. And then, the car's behind me, like what? And I'm like, all these decisions are going through my head. And he made it across my lane of traffic and he got to the median. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to park and I'm going to get out and I'm going to help him. And like somebody else, like the car next to me, ended up getting out and help. And I was so mad at myself that it took me so long to go through these decisions in my head and I didn't get out. And I have been mad at myself all afternoon about that. So okay. I don't feel very nice.
Yeah, but do you realize that all of that is a very nice thing to eat? Like that is the exact opposite of what you're thinking. You actually spent all that time thinking about what you should have, then you're beating yourself up for not doing it faster. So that's all just a very nice thing, where most people just would have been like, oh, was there a person? I didn't see a person. Let alone did I not see that blind, impaired person. It would just be, oh, I didn't see somebody. Was there somebody there? My bad. That's how the majority of people would have seen that situation. So the fact that you are now ruminating and replaying it and beating yourself up for it, maybe you should have been in Hufflepuff.
Maybe I should retake it.
Yeah. So, according to Pottermore, Ravenclaws possess the traits of cleverness, wisdom, wit, intellectual ability, and creativity. So,
okay.
I feel like that, this is a Ravenclaw podcast now as well.
Okay. On top of an Angelina Jolie and what else?
True crime and media. We really just, it's kind of morphed and grown over time to getting as many hashtags as possible.
So earlier today, I have a new co-host who officially started this week, and apparently online there is there is a thing that's called the Urban Dictionary game, the name game, and so you apparently like you look up your name and what it means on Urban Dictionary. You're supposed to post it on the socials, and so we did this, and I didn't even read mine completely because I wanted to read it on air and be surprised by it. And it is so hilarious, Adam. When you hear this, you're going to be like, did you pay somebody to write this for you?
I did make a mistake earlier. Cedric Diggory was a Hufflepuff, not a Ravenclaw. My bad.
Oh, see?
Somebody's going to call me on that, so I had to get it out there.
Somebody's going to call you on that.
Yeah, because Harry Potter fans don't mess around. So he was a Hufflepuff. My bad. But yes, no, I saw it actually on Instagram when you posted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, and I remember reading it and like, oh, well, that's pretty nice.
I was like, because at one point I was like, did I write this and I didn't know that I wrote this? Okay, so Adam, it says, Adam at first glance, at first glance, their facade, they seem quite distant, cold, boring, and sometimes weird, but under this, there's a person who's willing to help you with every one of his abilities, a person who can talk and be talked to, understand your needs, and wants to be able to describe his own in order to meet a compromise, and most importantly, being dependable at times when you need help. So I would say that's a good description of you.
Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, there are certainly people that would disagree with that, but
this one says, Adam, he's a tall boy with perfect hair. He makes you want to fall in love. It's difficult to talk to him because of how much feelings there is. His style is amazing, and he makes you want to own all his sweaters.
Yeah, that's definitely not me. Said the at best average height balding gentleman.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and so mine for Brooke. It says, Brooke, I'm making this into a poster, by the way, so I can hang like one in my house and one at work. Because
just right outside the cubicle so people can see it before they walk in. Like, know what you're getting into.
You better recognize people.
Before you enter, read this sign.
So it says, Brooke is a sexy, beautiful girl. She has high moral standards. She's very capable of taking care of herself. She doesn't like feeling like she needs to rely on other people. She doesn't like to admit that she needs others. Since she's been hurt in the past, she's the most beautiful, but doesn't know it. People see her as confident and brave, but deep down, she thinks she's ugly. She's very outspoken and relies on one or two friends instead of many. I'm like, when did I write this?
Well, the thing is, and sometimes you got to scroll down, because if I scroll down on the Adam one, there's also an entry that just reads, a freaking psychopath.
I just saw that.
So, I mean, I feel like it just depends on how far you want to scroll. It was like the internet. You can find anything you want,
It's true. It's true, also, but I like my definition.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, that one fits. I think mine's probably closer to a freaking psychopath.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm trying to think of any major news that has happened since the last time we spoke.
Well, I mean, it was Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
so everybody did that thing. We're on to season 3 of the pandemic, so we've got a new villain this time. So
Oh
that's
yes. Omicron.
yeah, which I think was a Transformers villain at one point. So
I thought that same thing.
yeah, Omnicron.
But in true Transformers style, Optimus Prime will come and defeat the Optimus Prime vaccine will come and defeat
Yeah.
the
At this
Omicron
point,
variant.
we just need to give them cooler names to make this more, because it's just never gonna end. There's always gonna be another variant. There's gonna be another vaccine. I mean, we'll be at this point, like people are already doing like the team. Like we used to like talk. We just talked about Hogwarts houses. I've seen people on like Team Moderna or Team Pfizer. I mean, we're gonna be separated by which vaccine we've had, and it'll be a social stigma. I'm Johnson and Johnson, so like
Pfizer gang, baby.
Yeah. I got the Johnson and Johnson vaccine, and then the next day they were like, "Hey, we don't know about this one so much," and like they barely talked about it. I was like, "Awesome."
Yeah, that happened to my daughter at school. She was like, "Oh yeah, I got it," and then they were like, "Oh, by the way, we're gonna hold off on these vaccines for a minute," and then
like it just disappeared. Like they're not talking about it at all anymore.
I
like,
know.
They're like, it's fine, but they're also like, well, we're not gonna. You should just. Oh, you got the J&J vaccine? Why don't you just get the Moderna or Pfizer booster?
You're fine to get one of the other boosters. Go ahead, do it, please.
Yeah, I feel like I'm out here with like the knockoff gas station Lego bricks. They don't quite fit with the others.
Of course, we talked about Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson.
Yeah. I think we mentioned that. That was very weird. I did see a meme that I very much liked, but it was very, very niche. It said that Adam Duritz was our generation's Pete Davidson, and it just had pictures of like all the starlets that the Adam Duritz being the lead singer of the Counting Crows.
Yeah,
who is not a bad looking gentleman, but also he was like with Courtney Cox and Jennifer Aniston and like all these like Hollywood starlets of the time, and he was always just like, yeah, well, he's a musician, and it makes more sense when it's a musician. I still don't get the Pete Davidson thing. He's funny, I get that. I don't find him all that funny, but some people do.
Yeah, I mean, and when you say that, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, because he had Emmy Rossum, Gwen Stefani, Mary Louise Parker. Yeah. I mean, the list goes on and on, my friend. And I'm like, all right, what does my man got going on? Because I mean, you say he's not bad looking. He's average at best.
Yeah, no. And I am not saying that is like a, I aspire for average, I'm down with average.
Stop.
But everybody was like, I think musicians, you always get like an extra point or two, right? Or 2 or 3, you can play an instrument that, that's why every guy at some point has tried to learn how to play guitar.
Right.
Like we've all picked it up because we saw some guy who was okay looking, but was in the front of a band and everybody thought he was great. We're like, okay, awesome. I want to, every person's tried to start a band because they want to be more attractive. Sometimes it's about music, but I don't think so. Usually it's just about wanting to be more attractive. And so I figured, okay, it's the music thing, but then there's just no way. Like Pete Davidson he's got like a magic talisman or something that's bewitching people.
Well, he's got a magic something from what I hear, and it's not a talisman. But it's our parents listen to this podcast, so that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, that's fair. I'm sure they won't figure that out. It was very veiled. We're so clever.
Hey, I said it as clean as I could.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. He's a very good gardener. That's really what it is.
He operates the hose in the garden very well.
Wow. I don't think you should be calling Kim Kardashian a hoe.
Well, that's not what I meant, but okay.
Or he's just really good at like maybe he's the rebound guy.
Maybe he's Good Luck Chuck.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
He's Good Luck Chuck.
We've all had that period in our life where we seem to date somebody and then like they went on and after they dated you, then they went on and found the person they're with to this day.
Yes, it has happened.
It's happened to us all. So
I'm waiting for that to happen to me. Like they date someone and then I become the forever. But here we are.
Well, just a matter of time. maybe your Pete Davidson is just down the line.
All right. So I have never really watched. I think I've watched one full episode of The Bachelor in all of the years, and that was because I was at someone else's house. It wasn't like I watched it on my own. But
Yeah,
I'm wondering.
It was under duress.
I'm wondering if I might watch this new season because this Clayton Echard or whatever his name is he's kind of good looking. I probably still won't watch it though. Yeah,
there are some people that seem to get really super into it. I know there's a former University of Minnesota basketball player on this current season because it's the Bachelorette right now, right?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so like part of me was like, well, maybe I should watch episodes to see what Joe Coleman's up to, but I forgot it existed. So, but there are definitely people that get together, or at least before a pandemic, would get together and have, Bachelor evenings and watch it. I kind of got burnt out on the reality shows when I had to do that for class in college for Survivor.
Oh.
As part of my group communication class, we had to watch Survivor and then analyze the group communication. And nothing takes the fun out of something like turning it into an assignment.
True story. The very first radio station that I ever worked at, the morning show, and I believe she's still there. The morning one half of the morning show was on the very first season of Survivor, and that kind of became her. I don't know if she still talks about it now, but like initially that was kind of like the selling point. Like she was from Clarksville, and then it was like, and she was on the first season of Survivor. Like now people would be like, so whatever, who cares? But for a little while that was like her selling point.
It was a big deal. I mean, now there have been so many people that have been on it. It's like, okay, whatever.
Right.
I'm trying to think. That would have been, so that was 2000. So that would have been the season that I was watching.
Oh, well then you would have watched her. I can't remember how far she made it, but she made it like halfway through at least, I think.
Oh yeah, Richard Hatch, the oldest guy.
Yeah.
Who would like never put on clothes won that year.
Yes.
Yep, that was the season I watched. What a small world.
Yep.
What was her name?
Gretchen Cordy.
Gretchen Cordy. Okay. Scrolling down. No, I can't find it. There she is. Okay. Clarksville, Tennessee. Seventh voted out on day 21.
Okay.
Well, because we all remember who was sixth.
Right. Oh man. Anyway, all right. So this week we are on episode 71.
Which means you go first because it is odd.
Yes.
Took me 71 weeks to figure that out.
Okay, so this week we are going to be talking about a couple. Have we ever had a couple before? Yes, we have.
Yeah, we have. But yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
So these are the Lonely Heart Killers. So this is the story of Raymond Fernandez and Martha Beck. So Raymond Fernandez was born December 17th of 1914 in Hawaii to Spanish immigrant parents. His father moved the family from Hawaii to Bridgeport, Connecticut. His dad was a handyman, but he was really like harsh to Raymond for no real apparent reason, just because.
Just a jerk.
He was like, I guess just a jerk. So tough love or trash parent. Here's a situation. At the age of 16, Raymond and two of his buddies stole some chickens. So the boys got caught and they were arrested and held on bail. Well, this is where the trash parent or tough love comes in question. So Raymond ends up spending 2 months in jail because his father refuses to bail him out. Not that he couldn't, he just refused to.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard the like, hey, if you get arrested, you're spending the night in jail and I'll come get you in the morning. so you learn your lesson sort of thing. Like I remember that was a threat.
Right, a night. Yeah, I get a night, but 2 months.
2 months is a long time. Yeah, that's a lot of lessons to learn.
That's a lot of tough love right there. So after this, the family moves back to Spain, and Raymond's father actually ran for and became mayor of a small town in the Granada province called Orgiva. While in Spain, Ray ended up working on his uncle's farm, and at the age of 20, he ventured out on his own and moved to Gibraltar, where he met and married a woman named Encarnacion Robles. So Raymond and Encarnacion have 4 children. And while they're married, Raymond ends up getting a job. I guess he said enough with the farm life, and he ends up becoming an ice cream vendor.
I mean, sounds like a lot more fun.
Right? So after becoming an ice cream vendor, Raymond goes on to serve in Spain's merchant marines, and he also served in the British forces, where he gathered intel during World War II. In 1945, Raymond leaves his family behind. He boards a ship that's headed for the US. Like, he was like deuces to his family. Like, it wasn't like, I'm leaving to get a better life started and you guys come on. He was just like, I'm out.
Yeah. It sounds like, bouncing around jobs, serving in 2 different armies. He was a man searching for meaning.
He was. In 1945, as he's leaving the family behind, he's on board this ship, and a steel hatch falls on him, and it fractures his skull and injures his frontal lobe. The decision-making part of the brain.
Yeah, which is ironic because clearly he was such a good decision maker before.
Right. And we've talked about this before. Traumatic brain injuries, especially in younger people, tends to change their personalities, and a lot of these serial killers we've talked about have had some kind of traumatic brain injury. So it's widely presumed that this head injury affected his personality. Yeah, wow, imagine.
As they tend to do. Yeah,
right. It impacted him socially and sexually. We also know that the frontal lobe isn't really fully formed until like mid-20s. So you've got a frontal lobe that's not even fully developed, that's impacted and injured. So, I mean, it's all kinds of, it's just spelling all kinds of trouble here.
Double whammy.
Mm-hmm. Literally, maybe?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I wasn't even trying to be punny, but it was.
So after Raymond, of course, Raymond ends up in the hospital. He's treated, and after he's released from the hospital, in 1945, he steals clothing, and he tries to get this clothing past customs. He ends up getting caught and arrested in Mobile, Alabama. He's sentenced to a year in prison and he's sent to prison in Tallahassee, Florida. In his defense, he said he couldn't control himself and he didn't know why he did it, which could absolutely be true, seeing he's coming off a brain injury.
Right. That doesn't excuse the crime being committed, but it is a reason, not an excuse.
Right. So while in prison, his cellmate was able to convert Raymond's beliefs to mysticism, which is the belief in like voodoo and black magic and hypnotism. He would claim that the black magic gave him power and charm over women. He was known to sprinkle a magic powder over letters that he would send to women, claiming that it helped him to hypnotize them. Then he would also do a ritual that was supposed to help him charm these women as well.
See, most of us just try to learn the guitar.
Have we learned nothing from Adam and Lyle Lovett? Come on.
Oh, again, who knew?
Right. So in December of 1946, Raymond moves to New York City with some relatives, and he joins a local Lonely Hearts Club called the Mother Denise Friendly Club, which a Lonely Heart Club, kind of self-explanatory. It's a club for people that are looking for lovers or friends.
Yeah, I mean, we just call it, Facebook now. But.
So apparently Raymond's quite popular within the club with the ladies. Okay.
Well, all that voodoo magic.
Oh, what is it? Black magic. Oh, but it's Black Magic Woman. It's Black
That's
Magic Raymond.
Magic Raymond.
I'm glad you went with it. I'm glad you went there with me.
Yeah. We're on a mystical journey together.
Oh man. Okay, so we're gonna put a pause. We're gonna put a pin in Raymond here for a second, and we're gonna talk about Martha. So Martha Jewell Seabrook was born in Milton, Florida, May 6th of 1990, and she's the youngest child of William Seabrook, who was a very submissive man. When Martha was 10, her father, William, ended up leaving his overbearing, abusive wife. He leaves her, and then he divorces her, which leaves Martha and her siblings with the mom. Due to what was diagnosed at the time as a glandular issue, that's what they always blamed it on, Martha ended up maturing prematurely, and she gained a lot of weight. She was bullied as early as the age of 9, and she also, because of her early maturation, she gained a very early interest in boys, causing her to seek comfort from older men. She has also said that she was sexually assaulted by her brother. When she tells her mom this, her mother ends up beating her and telling her that it's her fault. No bueno.
Not good.
Martha runs away from home and joins a traveling circus, but after a year, she returns home. In 1978, Truman Capote has even talked about the fact that he was with her for a short time when he was 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. So Martha graduates from high school, and then she goes on to nursing school and graduates in Pensacola, Florida in 1942. She had trouble finding a job due to her appearance, aka her weight, which, as we know, especially in the society, is so appearance driven. And can you imagine, in the 40s, she's a bit of a healthier woman.
Yeah, I mean, we were just ragging on Adam Duritz and Pete Davidson. So
I know, right? Not because of their
society
weight.
is appearance driven.
It is true. It's true. Okay. I get your point. So Martha finds a job as an undertaker's assistant, and she's preparing female bodies for burial. So she becomes depressed with her situation. She quits her job.
Shocking that job could get you depressed.
I know.
Wow.
I
He's
know.
had a very strange working life involving this running away and joining the circus and becoming a mortician's assistant. I mean,
and hanging out with Truman Capote.
Yeah, there's a lot weird going on here.
So she just up and quits, and she moves to California, where she ends up working in an army hospital as a nurse. She finally gets a job as a nurse. Well, while at this hospital as a nurse, in her personal time, she starts engaging in just casual sex with random men that she meets. I'm not kink shaming. I'm not slut shaming or anything like that. But she does end up getting pregnant by one of these randoms. She does know who the father is. She knows who she's pregnant by, and she tries to convince this man to marry her. He refuses. Not only does he refuse, though, he ends up taking his own life. Now, I'm not going to say it was all because of Martha and this child. I don't know the circumstances. I couldn't find that.
There were likely many ingredients in that soup.
Right. So, single and pregnant, Martha returns to Florida and ends up having a nervous breakdown. When she is asked about the father of her child, she tells people that he was a service member that she had married, but he'd been killed in the Pacific Campaign. Now, if you remember one of our earliest episodes, another woman did that. Do you remember the mom that ended up killing her son? Lied about the father of her baby. I don't know. I guess it's a pride thing. Yeah.
I mean, when it was socially very, like, in comparison, would it to be an unwed mother or a widowed, a war widow? I mean, socially, there's a very different reaction to those.
Yeah.
I mean, even today, I would say.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and this story, like, the town completely, like, envelops her and they mourn with her and they gather and they've completely got her back. They even publish a story about this husband in the local newspaper.
Right.
Martha gives birth to a baby girl, and she eventually is hired at the same hospital that she gives birth at. But unfortunately, she's fired May 31st of 1944 for some type of scandalous behavior.
Oh.
So about 6 months later, about December 13th of 1944, she becomes pregnant again by Alfred Beck, a Pensacola bus driver. The two quickly marry because, of course, it's the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you just said, scandal, shame. So the two quickly marry and, well, they quickly divorce. Within like 6 months, they're married and divorced. This time, Martha gives birth to a baby boy on February 16th of 1946. Shortly after that, she begins working at a residence for disabled children. It's called the Pensacola Home for Children. While there, she does such a good job that she's like quickly promoted to director of the residence home.
Oh, wow.
So she's having great success in her professional life. She seems to, be coming along, but she's depressed about her personal life and she starts drinking in excess. Martha escapes in her personal life. She escapes into a fantasy world of reading romance novels, magazines, watching romance movies. That's her escape. Mm-hmm. And in 1947, as a prank, an acquaintance of hers places an ad in the New York Lonely Hearts Club. Raymond responds. Ooh. So we're going to go back to Raymond. So in 1947, because Raymond, is popular, so he's kind of romancing several women.
Right. Yeah. Using that voodoo magic.
Right. In 1947, Raymond meets Lucilla Thompson, who's a divorced cook that ran a boarding house in New York City, along with her mom. Raymond moves in, becomes a tenant, and then the two begin a little bit of a relationship. Mm-hmm. So Raymond takes Lucilla on vacation to Spain in October of 1947. While in Spain, they visit Madrid, Granada, Malaga, and La Línea de Concepción, which is on the Gibraltar border. Also, while visiting Spain, Raymond makes the decision to introduce Lucilla to Encarnacion and the kids.
Interesting choice.
Right. I'm thinking that has something to do with the head injury because I don't know any man that's introducing the new lady to the wife.
Like years later after he was, disappeared.
So on November 7th, Ray and Lucilla get into an argument. I don't know what the argument was about, but my guess is, why in the HE double hockey sticks did you introduce me to her and your kids? That's my guess, but I don't know. I'm putting words in there because who knows? But
I feel with context clues, it's a fair guess. Like I can't imagine that conversation. Like, just how did you think this was gonna go, dude? It's like everyone's just gonna be like, "Hey, what do you have in common?" Oh yeah, only me.
Right.
Let's talk more about that.
So Lucilla is so upset in this argument that she threatens to leave him and go back to the United States without him. The next day, Lucilla is discovered dead in her hotel room. Her cause of death was attributed to heart attack due to gastroenteritis. I'm going to say that was wrong, but what a coincidence that would be.
Yeah, that's just some sketchy timing.
Yeah. So Raymond returns to the U.S. where he shows Lucilla's mom a forged will that names him as Lucilla's beneficiary and not the mom. Again, sketchy on the timing and the death. And you just happen to have this will? No, yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah, I carried this with me at all times. It was just didn't know where to put it.
Right. Yeah, I know we were on vacation, but I just happened to have this will with me. I mean, just in case.
And maybe that was a thing you did back then. I don't know. Like you go on a vacation, you want to have all your legal documents just in case. So bring all your papers. He's like, I'm bringing everything.
Were that many people dying on vacation? I was like, maybe we need to take our will just in case.
Maybe they had a conversation with somebody who was like, well, I had this friend who died over there. They didn't have his will, so we got buried over there. You don't want to get buried over there. Better bring your will. You could be like, see, it says she doesn't want to get buried here.
So earlier I mentioned the ad that was placed on Martha's behalf that Ray replied to. So he writes to Martha telling her, hey, I'm going to come visit you around Christmas. Because remember, October, November, he's in Spain. He comes back. He's home in time for Christmas.
Guys, planning ahead.
Man.
But in relationships, stereotypically, women do like when a man plans things. So
it's true. But at the same time, how do you just meet somebody? Like, okay, people talk about this generation and online dating. These people were writing letters and had never, ever met in person. They're like, I'm going to come stay with you. Let's get married.
Well, I mean, sometimes two individuals who meet through letter writing do have a very long and successful relationship that results in some kids who grow up to be on podcasts. So not everybody who writes letters and falls in love that way is strange. Sometimes it works out really well.
I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying how people talk about like our generation and like the online dating.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas people before were meeting through ads that they placed in magazines and writing letters and then like getting engaged through letters. So don't come for me with my dating app. Okay.
Yeah. No one who has danced to Pina Colada can ever complain about Tinder, because that, if you listen to that song, it's like 1970s Tinder and about a relationship that has failed. And then like, they're both trying to cheat on each other and they end up cheating on each other with each other.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so nobody gets to throw side eye at Tinder.
Exactly.
When that song went to number 1 on the charts.
Exactly. Thank you for backing up my point.
Yeah, absolutely. I just had to make sure that we were, the letter writing thing. That's a very, it works out really well sometimes.
No, and I'm saying, Tinder works out well, or online dating, not just Tinder, but that works out well. I'm just saying that like so many people knock it.
I've been to several Tinder weddings. Not like where you Tindered at the wedding, but they met through Tinder.
Somebody might be Tindering at the wedding. You don't know.
Yes.
Hopefully not the bride or groom. I'm just saying.
Yeah, one would hope. Yeah, please catch the bouquet and swipe right.
Hashtag I swiped right. Okay, so Raymond writes Martha and says, I'm going to come and visit you about Christmas time. So he goes to visit and he realizes Martha is not swimming in the cash that he would like for her to be. Oh. So he leaves New York. He leaves her and returns to New York City. He gives her some excuse like, oh, I'm just not feeling really well. I got to go home. Whatever his lame excuse was. I don't know. Yeah. I got to go home and feed my pet. I don't know. Yeah. So he leaves. Martha writes Raymond several romantic letters, but he replies to her and says, yeah, I think you misunderstood my intentions. I really wasn't feeling you like that. And I don't think we should talk anymore. And he tries to cut off all communications with her. Martha wasn't okay with that. She was like, no, sorry. So she tells Raymond in a letter she can't live without him and she's going to kill herself with her oven. Can I just say, first of all, we feel like the anticipation we feel like when we've sent a text and you don't see the reply, or you see the 3 bubbles and then they go away, that kills us. Can you imagine telling someone I'm going to kill myself and then having to wait for the letter reply?
Yeah, as somebody who deals with anxiety a lot, I don't think I could do that. Because then my brain would also be like, well, what if it got lost in the mail? Do I have to kill myself? And do I put like a time frame on it? What if they're sending a letter back?
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
Imagine there's a delay. Like right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and of course, everything takes longer. So can you imagine if there's some kind of delay? Like, what? No, I can't. No.
But maybe also with letter writing, it's like, when you write the text and then you send it and then you think better about it. Like, I feel like there's a lot of time for sender's remorse when you write a letter and send it.
Yeah.
like, oh, I was really in a mood when I wrote that. Oh,
Yeah.
now it's gonna get there like a week later.
And my mood has completely changed. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or people were just like madder for longer.
Maybe.
They were just like, no, I'm ticked. I'm gonna be ticked for a month. Like, I'm committed to it.
So it worked, though. It worked. Raymond caved. He invites Martha to visit him in New York City. So on January 18th of 1948, Martha accepts the invitation, but she doesn't tell Ray ahead of time. She surprises him. But of course, she's a mom with 2 kids, so she brings her 2 kids along. I mean, and here's the thing. You're like, wait, how does she just up and leave? Well, travel's easy when you're fired from another job.
Yeah. She was like, well, I'm going to go visit this guy. Also, I need a place to stay.
Right. I don't have a job or a place. So Martha arrives and Raymond's like, oh, you got kids? No, I don't do kids. I don't want the kids around. And Martha, instead of being like, oh, you don't want my kids, you don't want me, she was like, oh, no problem. No problem at all. You don't want kids? We don't got kids, Raymond. And she gives them up for adoption.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
I mean, likely in the grand scheme of things, better for the kids.
Right.
I think perhaps.
Right. So here's the thing. Some stories say that she gave them to her mom, but all stories say that they ended up for adoption. So Raymond, the stellar gentleman that he was, also put out Lucilla's mother, his deceased girlfriend. He puts her out of the boarding house.
Like, sorry, you're not my girlfriend. I'm not dating your daughter anymore because she's dead, so you got to leave.
Yeah. Like, what? So Raymond enjoys being spoiled by Martha because she takes care of him. She waits on him hand and foot. She's just the ultimate, like, anything he needs, she is there to fulfill his needs. Mm-hmm. He also took the fact that she gave up her children as a sign of her unconditional love for him. So he eventually feels comfortable enough to confess to her that he's a con man. He's a con artist. He thinks for a quick second, oh, she's probably going to leave me. But she doesn't. She's cool with it. She's like, that's fine. Not only does she decide to not leave him and stay, she says, I'll help out.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I'll be your wing woman.
In for a misdemeanor, in for a felony. So
yeah, exactly. You need a wing woman? I'm here for you, baby. I got your back. Ride or die. So on February 28th, Raymond went to Fairfax, Virginia, where he met and married retired teacher Esther Henn. They met via an ad. He brings Esther back to New York City. Martha goes with him and poses as his sister to give him a respectable appearance.
Right, because nobody who hangs out with their sisters is shady.
Right.
I guess. I don't have a sister, so maybe that's a true thing. So.
No, whatever. So Raymond and Esther get into several arguments because Raymond keeps trying to get Esther to write insurance policies and retirement pensions under his name. Esther is already bothered by this, but then she also catches wind of Lucilla's death from tenants in the building, and she yells out, all right, bye, Felicia. She makes a quick Irish exit, and if you don't know what that means, it's where you just peace out without saying anything. You just leave.
In my opinion, it is the best way to leave a party.
Yes.
Is the Irish goodbye, because then everyone's like, oh my gosh, where did Adam go? And he's so mysterious. He must have gone to a better party.
They're just looking around and you're like,
when usually it's like, did Adam leave? Is he okay? Does anyone know where is he outside? We don't know. Adam's gone.
So she leaves.
Then you get the text like, did you go home? Yeah, I went home.
Like an hour later, where are you? Dude, I've been home for a while. Yeah,
like I've already transitioned into the comfy pants.
So once she's safely out and away from Raymond, she then starts proceedings for a divorce and proceedings to get her car back from Raymond, plus the $300 that he had taken from her, which today would be about $3,500.
Can you imagine she was just like in the laundry room doing laundry in the building, and somebody's like, "Oh, so you're the new wife that might die."
Right. Hey, watch your back, girl, because you know his last one. Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the building. Hope you stay for a while.
Hope you stay alive. Around the same time, Raymond was hit with a paternity claim. So Raymond and Martha pack it up. They split town and they end up in Green Forest, Arkansas, where they met Myrtle Young, another Lonely Hearts Club member. Raymond and Myrtle marry, and all three travel to Chicago for Raymond and Myrtle's honeymoon.
So he brought his fake sister on the honeymoon?
Uh-huh. So
Again,
Raymond...
And I don't have a sister, but that seems weird.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because Raymond and Myrtle, they start having arguments because he won't consummate the marriage, which you bring your sister along and you won't have sex with your new wife. There's something real weird here.
Yeah.
I mean, and who takes their sister on their honeymoon?
I don't have a sister, but I feel like that's not a common thing to do.
And can you imagine, crazy ass Martha's in the next room, like listening, like, you better not be doing it. You better not.
No, yeah, I'm sure Raymond was afeared for his life.
Right. So Myrtle threatens to leave if Martha doesn't leave. By some strange coincidence, Martha ends up taking a bottle of barbiturates, and she somehow puts herself on a bus to Arkansas after she somehow manages to give them $4,000 from her account, which today would be $45,000.
Wow. That's a lot of money. What would
she
do with all this money?
Right?
That's a lot of money.
So on that bus ride, that obviously she didn't get herself on the bus, Myrtle suffers from a brain hemorrhage and she is taken to the hospital where she dies.
Yeesh.
Around Christmas of 1948, using the name Charles Martin, Raymond writes to very pious 66-year-old Janet Fay in Albany, New York, claiming, "I share the same values as you. We should be together." The two get engaged via letter. Then Raymond and Martha go to Janet's house on January 1st of 1949. When the pair first arrive at Janet's house, they claim that they had lost their wallets, both of them, and they didn't have any money on them. So, of course, she's going to help them out. But first, she accepts Raymond's proposal, and then she withdraws $2,500 from her account and gives it to Raymond, which is like $29,000.
Wow. People just saving money left and right back in the 40s.
Man, like what? So the three of them go to an apartment in Long Island, where Janet takes out another $3,500, or to put it in today's term, $41,000, and gives it to Raymond. Since Janet is a very religious woman, she and Raymond do not share a bed, do not share a room. She ends up sharing a room instead with Martha. Mm-hmm. So one night, Janet just keeps asking Martha questions about Charles.
Right.
And she wants to know about his childhood and his past, and Martha will not answer any of the questions. So Janet gets upset and she tells Martha, "You can't live with us once we're married."
Ooh.
This pisses Martha off. Beyond pisses her off. Janet gets up to go talk to Charles, and then Janet doesn't, there's an argument. She gets up. "I'm going to go talk to Charles." She gets up to go talk to Charles, Raymond, and Martha chases after her and hits her in the head with a hammer.
With a hammer?
With a hammer.
Sheesh.
Raymond comes to Martha's defense and strangles Janet until she's dead. They then place Janet in a large chest and bury her in the basement of the apartment building. That same day of the murder, Raymond receives a Lonely Hearts letter, and Janet's family starts to become suspicious when she disappears, or because they can't get a hold of her. So the two vanish. Raymond and Martha next travel to Byron Center Road in Wyoming Township, Michigan, a suburb of Grand Rapids, where they meet letter writer Delphine Downing, a 28-year-old widow with a 2-year-old daughter named Raynell. Once again, Martha is the sister upon introduction. Mm-hmm. Delphine, not quite as pious as Janet, sleeps with Raymond several times. I think that she might actually be the first one because, Janet was pious. She wouldn't sleep with him. And then he wouldn't consummate with the others. So,
yeah, who ended up dying on the bus.
Yeah. So on February 27th, jealous as hell, Martha offers Delphine some abortion pills that were actually sleeping pills. After consuming the pills, because they're sleeping pills, Delphine goes unconscious. The dynamic duo come up with a plan to get rid of her. They wrap her head in a sheet and Ray shoots her in the head with her deceased husband's revolver.
Good grief.
They then bury her in the cement in the house's basement, while 2-year-old Raynell sees everything.
Oh my gosh.
So initially the pair tried to calm her and feed her. They were gonna leave and pretend that she was theirs, but Raynell is not having it.
No.
I mean, she's 2. She just saw her mom. That's traumatic,
Yeah. These people are not good people. Kids get it.
Right. So out of frustration, Martha drowns Raynell in a tub of water. They then bury Raynell and Delphine together. So neighbors start to get suspicious when they don't see Delphine around, and they call the police. Nosy neighbors helping out again. That's like in our very first story. The nosy neighbors doesn't see the blinds open. She calls the police, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes nosy neighbors are a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, in our stories, it's like a 50-50 proposition.
Right. Right. So just a couple of days later, on March 1st of 1949, the police arrive and they arrest both Raymond Fernandez and Martha Beck after the two had returned from a movie. So they kill this mother and daughter, and then they just have a date night.
Yikes.
Yeah. So Raymond and Martha both confess, but their stories differ. They also deny the 17 different murders that were attributed to them along the way. Raymond then tries to retract his confession, saying he initially confessed to protect Martha. All of the bodies were exhumed. Unfortunately, Michigan had abolished the death penalty, so the pair were extradited to New York. Michigan presses no charges. In New York, the two face one charge each of first-degree murder for the death of Janet Faye. They both declared themselves not guilty by reason of insanity. Their trial, of course, sensationalized with all of the lurid details of sexual perversity and greed. There's news reports that described Martha's appearance in a negative light. She writes letters of protest to the editors. Not like, I'm not a murderer, but don't call me fat, whatever.
Yeah, that's fair. All right.
After a 4-day trial, both Raymond Fernandez and Martha Beck were convicted of Janet Faye's murder, the only murder that they were ever tried for, and they're sentenced to death by electric chair. Raymond tells doctors in jail that he had sincere affection and great consideration for Martha, but he wasn't sure if he actually loved her. Those doctors made sure to tell Martha that he said that he didn't love her and that he had syphilis.
Oh.
There's no reports that he actually had syphilis, but they just made sure they told her that.
Yeah, they're just playing the two criminals against each other.
Yeah, so obviously this crushes Martha. Well, 2 hours before their execution, he sends a message to her that reads, "I would like to yell to the world the love I feel for you." This makes Martha extremely happy, and she tells a nurse that she's happy to die knowing that Raymond loves her. The pair were executed on March 8th of 1951. While in custody, Martha actually urged police to shut down the Lonely Hearts Club, accusing them of being frauds. I mean, come on. The Mother Denine's Friendly Club was closed down under charges of fraud, but immediately reopened under a new name with the same $5 membership fee. Martha's last words were, "What does it matter who's to blame? My story is a love story, but only those tortured by love can know what I mean. I am not unfeeling, stupid, or moronic. I am a woman who had a great love and always will have it. Imprisonment in the death house has only strengthened my feelings for Raymond. In the history of the world, how many crimes have been attributed to love?"
All right. So she must have written those down because there's no way those were her last actual words.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure she did.
Like you don't like get a soliloquy when you're at the
Right.
they'll just hand you a mic and be like, please give us.
She tried to make it all poetic and whatnot.
Yeah. No.
So,
I mean, I guess if you're sitting on death row, you got time to compose your own monologue. But come on.
I mean, if she did that in a matter of 2 hours after she finds out he loves her, man, she's quick.
Yeah.
So in 1960, there was a show called Deadline. And on that show, there was an episode called Lonely Hearts Killer that featured their story. It was actually released on DVD in 2019. The Honeymoon Killers is a 1970 cult classic film about Raymond and Martha. Deep Crimson is a 1996 Mexican film about the pair. In 2016, there was a film called Lonely Hearts that was made about the killer couple. In 2014, Alleluia, a Belgian-French film, was inspired by the events of the pair. And in 2006, an episode of Cold Case was called Lonely Hearts, featuring killers Martha Puck and Ramon Delgado. Inspired, of course, by Raymond and Martha.
So their total was 17?
17 accused, but only tried and convicted for one. Yeah.
Like, and then this story was probably told over and over by anyone who was like, maybe I should join one of those singles clubs.
Right. He's like, no, you didn't hear that.
The friends are like, no, you can't.
But that's the story of the Lonely Hearts Killers.
Okay, so Brooke, we skipped a little bit on our opening this week that we normally do.
What did we skip? I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It actually works out really well because then we could do it leading into the A side. But we really didn't talk about anything we've watched over the last couple of weeks. It's been 2 weeks.
You are correct. We did not.
Which is totally, like I said, it totally works well as an entrance into the A side. Because I've been waiting for this time of year for a little bit because there are so many things coming out. And in the last just 2 weeks, we've had the brand new Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime has come out, which is based on the Robert Jordan book series, which is something I knew nothing about. But if you're into Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings or that, sort of swords and sorcery style, that has been really interesting and has come out in the last week. We've got the new season of Lost in Space on Netflix, which just came out today because we're recording this on December 1st. So I am going to be binging that in the next week. Mm-hmm. We've also got the new Hawkeye series, which I alluded to in my little Instagram post for our recording today. Which I've been tracksuit. Yeah, I got my tracksuit on right now. It is. I've been really impressed with that one. I'm
pleasantly surprised with it so far.
Yeah. And as I've been admitting on Twitter, which if you don't follow me on Twitter, you probably have not seen. I'm kind of a closet Jeremy Renner fan. So I think
nothing people about it.
Yeah, no, I'm a definite Jeremy Renner fan, but I also like his music. So like I have, which I mean, not many people even know that he's a musician. So I'm
one of his songs is actually featured in like a commercial or something.
Yeah, it'll like a couple years ago, it was like a car commercial. He had a couple, like right when Avengers came out, and then he had that whole like scenario where he tried to launch his own app, and it was just like it didn't go well. So he's often considered the least interesting Avenger. So it's neat that they're trying this whole series with him, and it's so far it's working out really well. And then another one that I have been watching is the brand new live action adaptation of Cowboy Bebop on Netflix.
That hashtag is all over TikTok, and I have not watched it yet.
I'm 4 episodes in, and I've really enjoyed it so far. I must give the caveat that I am not someone who has watched the anime, and I know that some of the reaction that I've read and some people I've talked to is anytime you have a really beloved series in one medium, whether that's a book or a comic or an anime or a previous series, and then it's done again and things change, people get really it's hard for people to accept any of those changes. Like one of the neat things about Harry Potter is how it really stuck close to the book. I mean, even it had a lot of changes, sort of like, characters that just didn't show up. Like in Lord of the Rings, Tom Bombadil doesn't really exist in the movies. And then in Harry Potter, Peeves the Poltergeist, they even filmed scenes with the actor playing him, and he's never in any of the movies. So stuff happens. But I've really enjoyed Cowboy Bebop, which stars John Cho as Spike Spiegel, the main character. And it led me to this week's That Person from That Show.
Okay.
Because one of the supporting characters on Cowboy Bebop, she came onto the screen, and I went, gosh, I know her. I know I've seen her before, and I could not place it. So that led me down a black hole trying to figure out exactly where I'd seen her before. And every time that happens, I get to kind of learn all about somebody new and then realize how many different times I've seen them in various movies. It actually happened twice this week. I could have gone two different directions with that guy from that show because there was a gentleman in the first episode of the Hawkeye series that also sent me on a black hole trip trying to figure out where he was from. So because we've had that guy from that show and we've only had a couple, that girl from that show, so that lady from that show, I decided that this week we would continue on focusing on the female lead in this case. So in the Cowboy Bebop series, there is a character named Anna, who is a bar owner and a friend of the lead character Spike Spiegel, and he comes to her with questions after he's, don't want to spoil anything, but he's got a mysterious past, and she's from his past, and his past comes back to bite him, and so he has to go and talk to her about some of the past. And as soon as she shows up, I'm like, I know this actress. And the role of Anna is played by Tamara Tunie, who is an American film, stage, and television actress who's been in, I think, a record number of credits for a person on that show that we have talked about on the A side, because she was on a CBS soap opera, As the World Turns, for over 1,000 episodes. In fact, she was because it's almost unfair when you're on a soap opera, because you're doing 4 to 5 episodes every single week, as opposed to one episode for most other series.
Right.
But she was on, let's see here, I'm going to get the exact number of episodes. 1,276 episodes, or she's credited in 1,276 episodes of As the World Turns. And I was like, well, that's clearly not where I've seen her from, because when I watch soap operas, the various times in my life where I've gotten into soap operas, it's always been Days of Our Lives. Mm-hmm. I've never gone with any other soap opera. So it wasn't As the World Turns. So where did I see her from? And I realized that the place I probably recognized her the most was from her role on Law and Order. So she played, get the correct name here, medical examiner Melinda Warner on the NBC police drama Law and Order Special Victims Unit. And she was in 19 different seasons, but she's been in a ton of shows besides just Law and Order, but often kind of playing that law enforcement archetype, whether it was a medical examiner or a lawyer or a police officer. She, of course, was on As the World Turns, where she received 2 NAACP Image Award nominations and 2 Soap Opera Digest Award nominations. She was also in the first season of 21, which if you've never, or sorry, 24.
You thinking 21 Jump Street?
I don't know what I was thinking. I just took 3 hours out of the show. I was like, wow, this show's shorter now. No, if you've never seen 24, which it feels kind of crazy to say that now, but it is almost a 20-year-old series. It was incredibly unique for its time in that it was time locked and it actually took place over 24 hours. Mm-hmm. And because of that type of filmmaking, it really is something I think anybody who's a fan of television and police dramas and action should watch, just because it's such a unique series that way. So if you've never seen it, go check it out. She's had recurring roles or guest appearances on Almost Family, Better Call Saul, Blue Buds, Billionaires, Alpha House, Elementary, Survivor's Remorse, Zoo, The Good Wife, Law and Order, Sex and the City, NYPD Blue, Chicago Fire, just about every serial
You
cop
missed one.
drama. I'm sure I did because she's had a
Well,
ton. Which
I'll wait because it's a bit of a different role for her. So I'll wait because you may mention it.
okay, I was actually moving from film onto TV next. So which one did I miss?
Well, she was on Scandal.
Oh, she was on Scandal. So I should have caught that. I try to catch any Scandal related because I've never watched an episode of Scandal. And
Oh,
anytime I see anything related to Scandal, I'm like, oh, Brooke really likes that show.
yeah.
That's the extent of my Scandal connection. I was like, oh, I should tell Brooke about this because she really likes Tony Goldwyn and that show. And I know nothing else about the show at all. So I'm kind of surprised I mentioned that. But she has so many credits.
She does. She does.
She's been on.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, because you said normally she's like that, the kind of the legal side of it, but on Scandal, she was the complete opposite. She was crazy.
Mm-hmm. And she's been all over I mean, probably her biggest roles have that legal side, lawyers and cops and that sort of thing. But definitely a lot more range than that. She's been, she's not always just playing a cop. She's worked in film as well. Her biggest role was opposite Denzel Washington in the movie Flight, directed by Robert Zemeckis.
Mm-hmm.
She's worked with Al Pacino twice, once as a possessed wife of a partner at his law firm in The Devil's Advocate, which is a highly underrated movie. But it's also very weird. I mean, Al Pacino, Keanu Reeves, one of them's the devil, and the other one's like, it is a hard movie to explain because it's way more than just a legal drama, but it's quite good. If you can give it a shot. She also played his press secretary in City Hall. She's worked with Samuel L. Jackson on both Eve's Bayou and The Caveman's Valentine. But she's also been, as well as on screen, whether it was the small screen or the big screen, she's had a very extensive theater career. She started on Broadway with Denzel Washington again in an adaptation of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. One of her very first roles after she graduated from Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh was on Broadway with the legendary Lena Horne in a musical titled Lena Horne, The Lady and Her Music. She started in a revival of OK, as well as toured Europe with Bumbling Brown Sugar. She played Maggie in the first all African-American production of Tennessee Williams' Cat in a Hot Tin Roof. Then she also did after September 11th, was in a 20th anniversary benefit concert of Dreamgirls as well. She has moved from just being on stage to being off stage as a producer as well. She produced the Broadway revival of the Tony Award-winning musical Spring Awakening, which is super easy for me to say, which not at all, clearly. Most recently, she was Dorothy Brock in the reimagined 42nd Street at the Ordway Theater, which is here in the Twin Cities, and got a shout out on her most recent Instagram live that she did just a week ago.
You did, or the city?
No, the city did, and that production got a shout out. I did not. I don't get shout outs. We don't do that. She's won an Obie Award, which is the off-Broadway Tony, for her performance in Danny Guerrera's Familiar at the Playwrights Horizon. She has been all over the place as theater, TV, and film, but is also quite active as an activist and a philanthropist. And one of the cool things that I think I've started to notice as we do these is how much I get to learn about the other things that actors and actresses have going on after they've, outside of just being on TV or being famous or being in theater. She is the chair emerita of the board of directors for Figure Skating in Harlem, which is a nonprofit organization that supports academic excellence and teaches life skills to young girls in the Harlem community. She's from Pittsburgh originally, but she does now reside in Harlem. She also serves on the board of directors at the Harlem Stage, the Gatehouse, and God's Love We Deliver. She serves on the advisory board of Hearts of Gold and the Center for Military Medical Research in Pittsburgh. So all over the place. She was awarded the Made in New York Award from the City of New York in 2005 for her commitment to film, television, theater in Manhattan. It was given to her by Michael Bloomberg.
Wow.
So, again, if we see these people for just a second on the screen, or they have a few lines and they add depth to a show, and her character of Anna on Cowboy Bebop is so far probably one of my favorite characters on the show. And I'm at the point now where I'm 4 episodes in. I really hope that there's more, because when you're watching a show, you're like, there are certain characters you want to learn more about, and there's certain characters where you're like, not all that interested.
Right.
Definitely hope as I continue to watch the series that there is more to her character, because it's, even in the little bit that she showed up, I'm much more interested in that character even than I am in some of the versions of the main characters, which is kind of interesting. So we'll see how that goes. And of course, anytime you can have a connection to Law and Order, it's going to be a huge plus in Adam's mind, because Law and Order will always hold an incredibly special place in my heart. So big thanks to Tamara Tunie for all of the roles that she has played. And if you enjoyed anything that she has been in the past, especially if you were a fan of hers from the years on Law and Order, definitely check out her appearance on Netflix Cowboy Bebop, now streaming on your streaming devices.
Nice. She is a phenomenal actress, and like, just thinking of her on Law and Order versus her on Scandal, it's like, holy crap, she's very different.
Yeah, as I've grown older, like when you are a little kid and you want to be on TV movies, you always want to be the star.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've grown older, I get so, like, I so much want that. Like my ultimate goal is, to continue doing acting. But the great thing about acting and is you can do it until you die. So I can go to Hollywood whenever, Broadway or whatever. But the character actors or supporting actors get to do so much more. You get to have that range. You get to play different characters. I mean, Tom Cruise always plays Tom Cruise. And even you can tell that he sometimes will take like a weird movie, like when he was in Tropic Thunder, because he wanted to do something else. So I think that it's really cool that the supporting actors get to show off their range and just prove how really, really talented they are. More so than your classic just movie stars.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool people in this Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, it's a really, I'm enjoying it so far. I like John Cho a lot. It's a different role for him as well. So I'm interested to see how it's gonna go, because it's definitely a different role than I've seen him in before.
All right. So is that the A side?
That is the A side.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, I think you've probably seen my Facebook post. I am on a mission to watch a Christmas movie every single day until Christmas, and probably till the end of the month. So I gotta go so I can watch my Christmas movie tonight.
Yeah, and you got Muppet Christmas Carol on there, right?
Oh no, that's another one I can add to the list. Thank you.
Yeah, that was got to be on the list. Definitely got to be on the list. And then there was one that we always watched as a kid, and I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Is it a Christmas Story?
No, that it was a really random one where like somehow we ended up with buying it or renting it at Mr. Movies, and it became like one that we continually watched, but it wasn't like a big one, but it's been stuck in my head forever. And I believe it starred Dudley Moore.
Arthur?
No, not Arthur. It was Santa Claus the movie.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right, yep.
Dudley Moore, John Lithgow, David Huddleston, underrated in terms of the Hollywood or the holiday movies, because it just never shows up on like TNT or TBS. So like most people have not seen it. But if you're looking to fill out the list, I highly recommend that one as well.
All right, I'm going to add that one to it. And I think I've had a couple people, of course, guys, recommend Die Hard, which according to Bruce Willis is in fact a Christmas movie. So I'm going to save that for the weekend.
Yeah, and technically so is Die Hard too.
That's true. That's true.
I Die Hard is on my rotation of ones that I will just have on one of the 3 TVs playing in the background that I can just check in on, because it is it is underrated in terms of how it created an entire genre of film. So
that's true.
Whether or not it's Christmas, it's always time for Die Hard.
All right, ways that you can support the podcast. Well, first of all, tell us where you're listening. You can let us know on Instagram. We'd love to see your story, or on Facebook story. You can tweet at us. Let us know where you're listening. We always love to hear that. You can also check out the website for photos and sources from today's episode. Adam, website?
It's A-side, B-side podcast.square.site.
Nailed it.
And on our website, we'll have links, especially like today, I have Tamara Tunie's Instagram is in our list of links. And I'd highly recommend checking that out as if you're looking to learn more about her and some of the work that she does. It's a really cool follow as well.
Awesome. Also, while you're on the website, you can look at merch that we have. Sweatshirt season is coming. We've got tons of sweatshirts, coffee mugs. It's always time for coffee. We've got masks, because as we said, the pandemic's going to be here for about 10 more years. So might as well grab yourself a mask.
Masks are the new fashion.
If you're
not accessorizing with a mask, and if you got to make it your own at this point.
I thought I had a crazy beanie collection. You should see my mask collection.
Yeah, now you got the mask beanie combo because you got to accessorize with the 2.
Right.
And no matter what you do, they're going to bring out your eyes because it's the only thing anyone can see.
Also, you can get to us on our socials. We've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we've got Twitter. A-side, B-side pod is our Twitter. A-side, B-side podcast is our Instagram and our Facebook. You can DM us. You can email us at asidebsidepodcasts@gmail.com. We would love to hear if you have a story for Adam, maybe that person from that show, or if you've got some kind of a true crime story that you'd like for us to look into, just let us know. And as always, we thank you so much for taking this journey with us for 71 episodes, and we hope for 71 more and beyond.
Yeah, I was going to say at least 71 more. So.
Yeah.
It was very weird. I was very sad last week. It made a lot of sense with the holiday and everything going on that we skipped a week, but I very much missed it. So I'm glad we're back. We're back in the rotation.
I missed it too, but it's really funny because I think we talk just about every day at some point, but it's not quite the same when we don't do a podcast.
Yeah, no, I probably talk to you more than I talk to any other human when we have 3 hours of podcast because we do the podcast, but then we also cover every topic in the world in our recording time. So it's that was definitely missed last week.
Oh man. All right. So there it is. Episode 71. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Brooke.